Alrighty. So, I'll open this up here. So everyone did the readings, right? Okay, perfect. I'll just go down this list here then. So this one's going to talk about the paradigms that we were reading about. So basically, I'm just going to go around and ask everyone. It says to ask one person at a time to explain each one of the 3 diversity paradigms described in Making a Difference Matter. Differentiation, integration, and it just says to explain the paradigm. So I guess, do we want to just start off with Blake and then go down?
Yeah, what was the question?
No, you're good. So basically it's just asking to explain about the paradigms, like what you learned.
Oh,
so
okay.
The 3 different paradigms from the reading.
Yeah, so the paradigms, that thing was so long to read. So there was 3 paradigms, and there was one that was like, hey, we're all equal, and then there was one that used other people's abilities, like culture and stuff, to influence others and kind of broaden your consumer base. And then the other one was, I don't know what it was. Like diversity doesn't matter or something? I don't know.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what I got from it too.
Yeah, right?
Race is good, I guess. I don't know.
It was like celebrating differences, right? For one
Yeah,
of them.
something like that.
Yeah.
I thought
I
that
took
one
the
was
quiz and I could
interesting.
figure it out, but
Yeah, I thought that one was interesting where they tried to utilize the foreign, I guess the natives, they tried to utilize them. So if like we're working with European stuff, they hired the Europeans to do stuff that the Americans couldn't do.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which one was that? Was that the
That one was the differentiation one, I think.
Yeah.
Because that one was where the issue with the problem with it was because they didn't try to incorporate those different types of cultures and attitudes and such into their own companies so that they'd be successful if they sent someone else over there. That's what I think it is.
Yeah, that's basically all what I got from it. The quiz I thought was pretty straightforward on all the paradigms, but I kind of thought that the one where it was explaining like how we're all just the same was, I don't know, I didn't quite really agree with it, but I mean, I feel like in today's society, it's kind of what people require nowadays, is that everyone's just all the same and just kind of move on with it, or else someone will just kind of get.
Did you guys read that little part where it talked about that Chinese worker where she didn't want to tell her coworkers how she found out the secret of the... I don't understand what that was even saying.
It was, she had figured out like a recipe or something to make, I don't know exactly, but she didn't want to share it with the other coworkers because they were male, and she thought that they would judge her.
But like judge her on what? Like I didn't understand.
I think it was because it wasn't, she did it not in a scientific way. She did it based on like a home cooking way
Or culture,
instead of like the
so it was more like
scientific
a
method.
female like feeling thing rather than like a brainy thing.
Yeah, that's kind of what I got, because I'm assuming most science, they'll use like a hypothesis-based type theory, and then since he was a minority in that case, she was just like, you know, this would probably be good, having no supporting evidence, and just I think she was one of the only females, and the rest were white males, I think, too.
Yeah.
So the next one, it says, given an example of an organization you have observed or worked that has showed some sort of aspect of the paradigm you choose, explain whether you think that paradigm was effective in the organization or not. For me, I've been in Meyer for a while, where I was just a food parcel, and they had a union there, which was kind of interesting. So they basically treated all the workers the same, and so they kind of hired on all different types of ethnicities, and they were very much diversity whatsoever in terms of how everyone interacts with each other or not. It was just kind of more of a political thing, and I didn't really think it worked out that well, but that was probably mostly just because it was a union though, and so everyone was pretty lazy on not working, because if they didn't work and didn't do very well, they would just depend on the union. And since I think it was like $50 a month for your union dues, whether you were part-time or full-time, so a lot of the part-time people quit pretty fast once they joined the union. But so does anybody else have any other examples that they had on which paradigm they've seen in
Oh, I just thought that one
businesses?
example was super effective, how they used other cultures. I liked how, wait, I got to scroll over to see what your name was again. Michaela. I liked how Michaela was saying how, I don't know what that paradigm was, but the problem was that if they ever just continued to use those Europeans or Chinese, that the Americans didn't really figure out like the differences enough to, I guess, run it. Like they just sent them over there and everything was working out well, but they were talking about how the problem was they didn't, I guess, figure out what they were doing differently than the Americans, so they couldn't take over if they needed to.
Yeah, that one was the differentiation one.
Yeah, they didn't know if it was like culture based or if it was something else or relationship based.
Which is really true, because it talked about like they could start feeling undervalued and stuff because they wouldn't have the opportunity usually to be promoted further in the company, because they usually keep them in that European branch, because that's where they're being successful, so they wouldn't really end up moving forward in like headquarters or anything. And so it's interesting to think about it that way, because if you think about it that way, then you're like, that is kind of true. Once they get someone in a position and they're super successful, they probably won't want to move them from that position if it's based on culture, if they're not willing to learn why they're so successful.
I thought it was pretty interesting using when they were talking about the bank that was here in America, and they were expanding on to Europe, and they ended up hiring Europeans to actually understand the culture that got MBAs here in the United States, and they ended up just skyrocketing in terms of being able to connect with the culture there. And I thought that was pretty interesting. And the importance, obviously, of culture anyways. I think that one was under yeah, I can't remember which paradigm it was, but
The integration one?
yeah, I think it was the integration one. But anyways, so we'll move on to the next one. It said, Melody Hobson says that color blindness is dangerous. Do you agree? Is she making a point similar to the one made by the authors of Making a Difference Matters?
I would agree, just because it's kind of like making everybody equal, which isn't a bad thing. But if you think about it, when you're not going to take into account the different backgrounds and perspectives people have, then you end up not being able to benefit from those different backgrounds and perspectives and be able to grow even more than if you just use your own perspective.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I think that I think each culture kind of has their own way of doing things, which wrong answer, I don't feel like, but I feel like using their strengths and weaknesses are important to making a company successful, and at least getting different perspectives and just accepting the fact that they are different is, I think, what makes a company so successful versus just being completely ignorant to the fact. But anybody else have any thoughts on it?
I don't know. I don't want to share my deep feelings with you guys because I'm a white male. So, I don't know. I didn't like that lady's TED talk. I just said, like, what does race have to do with anything? Like,
Mhm.
do you want to hire people because they're a different race than you? Or do you just take them based on their quality of work? And if you do that, then you're considered racist because we didn't hire the black person or the Chinese person. You see, like, I don't know. I don't think race should have to do with anything. Like, because on the radio they'll report like a shooting or something, and they'll say like a white cop shot a black man, and so it's like, okay, like why did you have to say that? Why can't you say like a person shot another person? And so to me, I'm like, well, if we just took that out of it, it would be a whole lot different. And so that whole lady's talk was like, it was kind of like that, but I just didn't. I don't know. Like, I don't know. White male, so
No.
I'm not racist. Like, it's like, why do you have to hire someone just because they're a different race or because they're not? You know what I mean? I guess.
I see what you're saying though, because she went out to make a point that you shouldn't not talk about it. You should always bring it up. You should talk about it in the workplace. You can't hide from it. But it's
Yeah.
like, if we're equal, then we shouldn't, there's nothing really to talk
Like,
about.
why do you need to talk about it?
I think it was kind of like just embrace yourself and don't worry about being judged for embracing who you are, and embracing your opinion. I don't know. That's kind of what I got out of it because she was saying she says it's okay to be, she says get comfortable being uncomfortable. And I think that's kind of more like embracing your differences.
Yeah.
I don't know.
See, like, I don't know. Like,
I see what you're
I
saying
go to work
because,
and I work with Mexicans and stuff, and I'm just like, I don't care if they're Mexican or not. Like,
yeah.
you know, like, how often does the race come up? Like, if you're at work working. Like,
Yeah.
That's true.
But I'm white, so I don't have, like, I can't have an opinion, I guess. I don't know.
Well, no, I agree. I mean, so I'm applying for dental school here this next time around, and I get all the statistics on the different schools on, you know, race, gender, and everything else. And I think it's kind of just stupid that they'll reserve a certain amount of seats for, you know, this race, even though they're maybe not as qualified as someone that's a white male that performed better on all the tests and stuff.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think it should just be the best of the best gets in. But
Well, and see, like, the Golden Globes or the Oscars or something, like, last year they said, oh, there's all these white actors that got nominated, and it's, like, really white or whatever. And so there's, like, huge criticism about it that most of the people were white in it. So it's like, well, it doesn't matter. Like, maybe they just did better than, like, all the other people. I don't know. That's
so I guess this kind of leads into our next subject. Is color blindness the same thing as discrimination and fairness in the assimilation paradigm? Like, I don't know. I don't think being colorblind is necessarily qualified as discrimination, but that's just me. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that color blindness is the same thing as discrimination?
I don't think so.
I think it depends on how you view it. Like, if you view color blindness as just thinking everybody as your brother and sister, like you're all the same, it doesn't matter, then no, because I feel like discrimination is more of an action. Like, you have to act to discriminate. And so just thinking everybody is the same no matter what, and not acting like, hey, you're different than me, so I'm going to treat you worse or something. That's discrimination.
I would agree. Authors of Making a Difference Matter believe the integration, learning, and effectiveness paradigm is the best approach to diversity in the workplace. Do you agree? Explain why or why not. Anybody want to start off?
For me, I would agree, just because it's kind of like Elder Ballard's talk about councils. They had the different people, and he talked about you need to get the input from others, because then you can come to a better conclusion and a better solution than you could have if you were just doing it on your own, because you're being able to see outside your own viewpoint, your own perspective on something. You get a more well-rounded perspective of a situation, and then you can come to a better conclusion of how to solve it.
Yeah. Anybody else have any thoughts? I know, at least for me, I already kind of mentioned it earlier, but I think that having different races and different, having the diversity is good, obviously. It, adds a different mindset to make a company successful. But I also kind of agree with what Blake said. You shouldn't just go out and hire people that are, whether they're Black or Mexican, just because they are different in that aspect. I think they should also be very well qualified in terms of having the skills and being one of the top picks. Like if it were between the two, I guess, if you already had a ton of white males and you had a Mexican, so to speak, that was just as qualified, I guess I would hire on the Mexican just for a different, I don't know. Anybody else have any input on it?
No, I mean, I guess, like, I agree with you and stuff. Like, to me, I mean, I would go for the most qualified person, and whether that's someone that's a different race compared to a white person, like, yeah, I'd pick the most qualified person for the job. Like, I don't know, because I want to have a good business. It doesn't matter to me, like, what race you are, I guess.
Yeah. Alrighty, so we'll move on to part 2. This is the color bravery, so about the video. What does Hobson mean about being color brave? Do you think that color braveness should, what do you think it should look like in the workplace? Is it similar to the integration paradigm, or is she talking about something different?
She talked about being bold and like speaking up and inviting people to, she's like, invite people into your life who aren't like you.
Mm-hmm.
So that was interesting.
I feel like it still does add that diversity character, but I think they're just completely different things. I think she was more of just confronting it, just saying, you know what, let's just be open about this whole, racism thing, I guess, even though it's an uncomfortable topic. I don't think the paradigm's ever explained about any of that.
I think the integration one was just being open about just like your opinions and perspectives, having an open environment in the workplace where you can feel comfortable enough to even talk to like a supervisor, no matter what your position is, if you have an idea of how to make something better or something, just sharing your perspective. Whereas like she was just talking about being like, there's some aspects that relate, but some don't, like being brave and understanding like the diversity and bringing more diversity in. But I think you can have an open workplace and still have diversity and have race not be a factor. Like you can have a way to make it comfortable for people to bring up their different backgrounds and opinions on how something should be done, instead of being like, oh, since you're this way, we should talk about this since you probably have an opinion, that kind of a thing.
Yeah, I definitely agree. So I guess the next question is, have you ever been in a team or group / organization where one person's ideas or approach to doing work was hard for the rest of the group to understand because of a different background, gender, race, or something else?
I think everyone has a different background. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think everyone's raised a different way and stuff, and that there's people that want to work hard and be ambitious and stuff, and there's other people that don't. And so it's like, see, again, I'm like, well, what does race have to do with it? Like, you know what I mean? I don't know. That's what it's like.
No, I agree.
What does it matter? Like, everyone's different. Some people work harder than others. Like, whether you're white or black, like, I don't know. Sorry, Jake.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Let's see if we can get this fixed. Maybe he might have to leave and come back in.
Or did he accidentally like mute it? Or something?
I don't have internet, so I have to come to McDonald's.
Oh my gosh.
No, his thing's muted. Can he hear us? Well, I guess he's lucky then he doesn't have to contribute.
That's pretty funny. Yeah, I can hear you guys. All right, he can just type his thoughts, I guess.
Weird.
But yeah, I mean, like I was saying, like, I don't know. Who cares about race? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think it should matter. Like, I work in education, and when I work with like a variety of people, and when they bring up like their approach, it makes sense because of their background. So I'm like, oh, that's why you do it the way you do it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It's like eye-opening.
Yeah, like I think it's good to like the Chinese lady, if she thought about something that, like, I don't know what it would have been, but if she could use her background to help influence, and it was something that only a Chinese woman would know, then like that's even better, you know? Like, it's like, I don't know. It's something that you shouldn't be ashamed of if you're different. Like, it's just big melting pot. I don't know.
Well, there's Jake's opinion right there.
But see, now you have Black Lives Matter, and it's, you know,
I think all lives matter.
But yeah, but see, if you think that all lives matter, then you're racist. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. But like, I don't know.
I think, well, I think it just depends on the whole victimizing thing. I think versus who actually are read cases where this week where I felt like some of them were victims of it, and then others were just making a big deal out of it, just like the who was it? Was it the Mid-Eastern guy, the Arabic dude, the Muslim? I thought he just kind of made a big deal out of it, versus I felt like everyone else was just trying to include him in the workplace, and some people just try and victimize everything.
Oh, are you talking about the banker?
Yeah, I think it was the banker. Oh, was the banker? It was the vice president of the technology stuff, where he would go into like the chemistry people, and he would
couldn't drink.
Just like, yeah, and he couldn't drink in the parties, and he just, I don't know. I was kind of saying, well, it's because I'm Muslim. I feel like that's just kind of the attitude a lot of people have nowadays, where they can just be the victim. But
well, yeah, see, but like that's different. Like, well, on the case, like I said that they tried to incorporate him. Like
Yeah.
they had meetings where like they didn't have drinks and stuff, and like he never showed up. I'm like, right there, the company's trying to include him and trying to get him to help and stuff, but like he just doesn't show up. He's just trying to play the victim and stuff.
exactly, he's just victimizing himself and just saying,
You're
well,
not
I'm
helping
just,
anyone.
you know, I feel like there's a lot of people that do that nowadays, but I mean, that's just me though.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are things where like I was looking at the group leader thing, and I don't know if it was the question for whatever, where it's like I think people do discriminate, but the amount of people out there that do discriminate is so few that those examples just kind of come to the top though, just because it's like, oh, racism and stuff. But I don't think like, I don't know, the whole cops and Black Lives Matters is just like a whole different can of worms and stuff. But like, I don't think that many people try to discriminate like
I
outright.
agree. I think there's very few people that do it. I think it's a minority of people that actually do discriminate, but
I don't know.
Can you guys hear me now?
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
You can?
yeah.
All right, cool.
Let's see here.
Okay, screaming the whole time.
You're good. I guess we'll just move on to the next part. What did John Skipper, ESPN, mean when he answered yes to the question, do we hire the minority or the person who is most qualified? I think we already kind of touched on this a little bit, but do you believe that it's the right approach for hiring diversity? I think we already kind of talked about that, but
I think it is. I think if you hire more diverse people, then you kind of dodge a bullet with people accusing you of racism and discrimination and stuff. So I think it might be easier for companies just to hire like a couple people that aren't the same, like aren't white or whatever, just to say, well, no, we're not discriminating and stuff. I don't know.
yeah, no, I agree. I think a lot of companies just do that so they won't get in trouble for it. But at the same time, I feel like some ethnicities or groups just kind of categorize themselves as, you know, they group themselves anyways. Like I feel like a lot of Hispanics do a lot of great landscaping businesses. Like I feel like that's what they're kind of known for, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, I wouldn't hire a white person doing a ton of landscaping. I'd probably hire a group of Hispanics, but.
Well, and see, that's the thing that like white people are just lazy. Like, no offense, like I mean, Mexicans work way harder and they'll take less pay than a white person would. And like, you know, like farmers, they like, I don't know if you guys ever worked on farm and stuff, but there's like, you have to move irrigation pipe to water all the crops and stuff. And like, it sucks. The pipes are heavy and stuff, or it might be raining and stuff. But like, white people don't want to do it. And so the Hispanics will do it and they get the money for it. Like, you know, it's not like they're trying to hire just Hispanics. It's just they are more willing to work and stuff than anyone else to do that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I also think the same thing with like out in China where they do a lot of manufacturing plants, everything else. There's simply just jobs that aren't in the United States. And so it ends up getting, you know, outsourced for cheaper, and it's, you know, they don't get paid as much, but I don't know.
White people that work at McDonald's want $15 an hour. It's more than I make. So what? I don't know.
Yeah, but they're gonna get replaced and then get angry. Anyway, we'll go to the counseling section of it. It says Elder Ballard describes the church council. Does the ward council he described follow the integration paradigm explained?
I think that it does, because you're trying to get everyone involved and stuff in those meetings and stuff, and get everyone's opinion, and I don't know.
Yeah, they're
no,
all
I
a team
totally agree.
with differences, I guess.
Yeah, I think it does just
Yeah.
because it's like I talked about earlier, it's trying to get different inputs and perspectives and going and thinking outside just one person's viewpoint and incorporating their differences to help them understand a different like the whole picture better.
Yeah, I definitely think it does as well, just because including different backgrounds, like Michaela was saying, those, people that take on callings, that's not their job. They're not necessarily good at it, but they definitely do provide lots of thinking or maybe different approaches. And rather than, one just having the bishopric take on everything, they're including everyone and bringing in all sorts of backgrounds to the meetings to help make the ward successful, I feel like.
Yeah.
So the next one is, what are the advantages of a bishop of counseling with the Elders Quorum president, Relief Society, primary president, and other sections of the ward?
Well, I
They
think
all bring in perspectives from like a variety of people, I guess.
Yeah. Anyone else?
no, I
I feel
would
like
say
we
just,
talked about it.
Okay. How could the bishop use the diversity of his council to help the ward?
I think it would be the same thing as the last question, just having everyone's different points of view and stuff and having their input to be able to figure out and make a decision as what they can do, whether they have kids in the ward or, and the primary president takes over and helps them and stuff, or kind of, just everyone has their input that's different.
Yeah. I guess, have we seen this in wards before? Have we seen, I guess I have. I've seen successful wards and councils work really well with this method, and I've seen others crash and burn with this method too, of trying to, include every single council on trying to do everything, and it just doesn't work out. But I don't know what your guys' experiences have been. And
Yeah, my bishop right now works really hard at that. He tries to ask a lot of us, like, what works best for the ward? What can he change? What does he need to do? Is that?
Is it successful, or
Yeah.
I guess I'm just curious.
It's definitely successful. Like, he wants more people to come to, and so it's like getting more inactive people to come back to church as well.
That's good. That is really good. Alrighty, so I guess the last two questions. The Making a Difference Matter article assumes that there are some value to companies in promoting a diverse workforce. Do you agree? I feel like this is the same question over and over again.
Yeah, I feel like we keep saying the same things.
I think we can just get to the point that, diversity is good, but I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think diversity is important, but I don't think you should focus on diversity. Like, it's important to be, if that makes sense, it's important to have diversity and stuff. I don't think you should focus on the differences. I think you need to focus and embrace the differences and then focus on your goal or your task and stuff at hand.
Yeah, I think go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, it doesn't matter if you're a different race or not. Like, everyone has their different backgrounds, and that could be considered diverse.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not just racially and stuff. Like, all of us have different backgrounds and different inputs and stuff, and we can put that towards our meetings and stuff.
Yeah, I think just having even not like focusing on diversity like you said, but having an open environment to talk and discuss about your opinions and stuff is good, because then you can grow from what you learn from those discussions and meetings that you could have that are open environment, and having not like picking the person that's most qualified, but also making the environment you work in open so that you can learn from other people's insights.
Yeah, no, definitely agree with that. I think having, you know, kind of going along with, like, I don't think it's just racially where there are those diverse aspects, I guess. I think even just being here at school, there's a lot of people that are really good at either sciences, really good at business, really good at, you know, specific subjects. And I think that brings in a lot of diversity in with the team anyway. If you were to get an entire company of having, you know, research and development or, you know, marketing, I think certain people's skills alone are, you know, bring in that diversity, I guess. And then the last question is, what approach would you take to diversity as a manager? So I guess if you're running your own business, how would you include or count diversity in your company?
It would be a good strategy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyone else? I mean, like I was saying before, I guess, I think just knowing what people, like their skills and their abilities, I think just putting them where they're good at, I guess, my sense of diversity. So if someone's really good at organizing things, I would put them in charge of obviously putting on events. Other people could be really good with science and research. I would obviously put them in research and development. I feel like that's the diversity that a company needs, is putting skills where they're good at, and they would be most successful, I feel like. But
Finish doing what you're doing and go on your break, please. Genesis, play, please. I haven't done.
all right, well, if that's it then. Stop the broadcast. Do we need to talk about the doohickey at all?
I think if we could, that'd be good.
Yeah.
Just for a minute.
I also
Okay.
just looked up our class list, and I think Terry did drop.
Did he drop it?
He's not on it anymore.
Okay,
Okay.
that's easy. Good job, Jake.
Thanks. Sorry, wasn't
Yeah.
that prepared.
It's okay.
No, you did
That
great.
last minute notice.
Yeah, seriously.
Thanks. Well, so with the doohickey, I guess the only last subject is I guess I can do the conclusion. I just finished the 2 solutions today, so I can do, if someone wants to problem.
Yeah, I was gonna say I can take you guys are already split into your groups and stuff. If someone wouldn't mind maybe editing it, and then I can take that last problem by myself. Well, I mean, I'm
Okay.
fine doing that. It shouldn't be too bad.
Okay. Would you want to take the last problem in the conclusion, or I can take the conclusion. And if someone else
Maybe
wants
if
to
one of
edit
you
it,
guys wouldn't mind
that's fine.
taking the conclusion, I'll just do. I can do that last problem and then the 4 solutions for it.
Cool.
And then if someone can write the conclusion and stuff, and then I can edit it too if I need to.
When do we want to have our parts into the Google Doc?
Because it's due next week.
Saturday next week.
Saturday?
Is it Saturday?
I'm assuming so. That's when everything's basically due. But
Yeah.
I mean, I could check.
Was it Saturday? I thought it was on Monday.
It might be Monday.
At like
Monday.
7
The
in
weekend.
the morning.
It's
I guess it
Monday.
is only Thursday. Maybe it is on.
Probably find that out.
Yeah, let me look.
So due on lessons 5, 8, 10, 14 Monday.
So that's February 6th then? Is that when it's due?
I think so.
Is that like when it's due at like 7 in the morning or 8 or whatever?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's due at on 6th, that Monday at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
I mean, I don't see where the submission is on it, but then that's when everything's due in week 5.
I'm trying to see where.
Key problem. Cannot be found.
5-1. Just get them in ASAP, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't
Work
take
on
me
this
that long today. Yeah. Should we try and have it done by Monday so we can just go through it together so that way not one person has to get stuck with the editing and flow, so that way we can all read it and figure out, I guess. So that way no one's stuck with that. Because I feel like that's the worst part.
Yeah.
Editing it and stuff.
Mhm.
I think
Yeah,
if we have like a rough draft Monday and then we can even email about it or email adjustments that we think should be made or adjusted ourselves because it's a Google Doc or like a comment on there. Something. You know?
Yeah, I think that's good. I say just Monday, and then on Thursday we'll go over and in our next meeting and then finish it up, I guess, Friday, so that way no one's stuck with it over the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
If
That
that
sounds
works.
good.
Yeah.
Else that needs to be brought up at all, or is that it?
Can I ask you guys questions for a different class, but we can end the broadcast
Oh,
for
yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Just
here,
like 2 questions.
yeah. Let me just end the broadcast here.